Good afternoon, my Real News Media TV family. Welcome back to the channel for another news update for December 19, 2023. And in the news this afternoon, companies urged not to employ persons under 18 years old. State Minister in the Ministry of Labor and Social Security, Dr. Norman Dunn, is warning employers not to engage persons under the age of 18 years to work in their establishments. Section 34 of the Child Care and Protection Act criminalizes child labor. Under the Act, a fine not exceeding $500,000 or a term of imprisonment not exceeding 6 months or both can be leveled on persons who act contrary to the conditions stated in the CCPA. Dr. Dunn said Jamaica is committed to the elimination of all forms of child labor. The International Labour Organization defines child labor as work that deprives the children of their childhood, their potential and dignity, work that is harmful to physical and mental development, socially or morally dangerous, and interferes with a child's schooling. Meanwhile, child work is the participation in work that does not affect his or her health and education, as well as depriving them of the chance to enjoy their rights, and is generally regarded as something positive that contributes to the child's development. Child work equips the children with skills that help them to be productive members of society and mold them to be responsible citizens. However, if such work deprives them of their childhood, interferes with their schooling by denying them the opportunity to attend school, then it is child labor. Dr. Dunn pointed out that child work cannot include working and begging on the street, working in massage parlors, working as exotic dancers, or involvement in tobacco, drugs, gun trade, or lottery scamming. Child labor puts the participants at risk, and when we speak about the worst forms of child labor, it is important for the conversation to be heard right across Jamaica, he said. According to the ILO, the worst form of child labor involves children being enslaved, separated from their families, exposed to serious hazards and illnesses, and or left to fend for themselves on the streets. There are about 54 articles that deal with various aspects of a child's life, and the Ministry of Labor and Social Security is ensuring that employers and employees are sensitized about the various charters that the country is signatory to. The ministry is also ensuring that Jamaica adheres to the tenets of these arguments with the ILO, Dr. Dunn said. The government of Jamaica has ratified ILO Convention C-138 in respect of the minimum age for work done by children and the ILO Convention C-182 on the worst forms of child labor. St. Elizabeth businessman arrested after police seized counterfeit rum. A St. Elizabeth businessman was taken into custody on Monday afternoon after investigators from the Counterterrorism and Organized Crime Investigations Branch seized more than 40 cases of counterfeit rum at his establishment in Santa Cruz. The seizure is valued at $1.4 million. 2 other businesses were raided by CTOC detectives, but no illegal goods were found. The business operator, who is being questioned, is facing several charges, including breaches of the Trademark and Consumer Protection Acts. Investigators say the sale of counterfeit rum poses a serious health risk to consumers and could damage the reputation of the trademark holder. Corporal James threatens legal action over delay to reinstate him to JCF post. Lawyers representing Chairman of the Police Federation, Corporal James, say they plan to file a complaint in the Supreme Court seeking contempt of court action against the Police High Command. The lawyers have complained that the High Command has failed to comply with an order of the Supreme Court that Corporal James be fully reinstated to his post in the Jamaica Constabulary Force. The order was granted on November 17, following an application by his attorneys challenging his interdiction by the Police High Command. But since the ruling, Corporal James, who has returned to his post as the chairman of the Federation, has not been fully reinstated, as the High Command has not yet published the reinstatement in the police force orders. One of his attorneys, Hugh Wildman, told the news that his client has grown impatient with the High Command, which has so far failed to re-engage him in the force despite the court's ruling. King's Counsel Peter Champagny, who is representing the Police High Command, told the news on Monday afternoon that an appeal against the ruling has been filed in the Court of Appeal. He said he is awaiting a hearing date from the court. Corporal James was interdicted for comments he made in July at a funeral service chastising the police high command over delays in installing a system to calculate overtime payments for rank-and-file members of the force. Man on murder charge in Hanover offered a $1 million bail. Steve McDonald, the man charged in relation to the shooting death of a security guard and the wounding of another in a car along the Shuttlewood Main Road in Ramble, Hanover in July, has been offered a $1 million bail. The 35-year-old man is charged with murder, possession of a prohibited weapon, unauthorized possession of ammunition, and wounding with intent. The charges are in connection with the murder of 43-year-old Dwayne Barnes, a security guard of Awful Gully, Beckersteath in St. James on July 6. Mr. McDonald was offered bail on Monday following an application by his attorney, Donahue Martin, in the Hanover Circuit Court. He is not to be seen in the parishes of Hanover and Westmoreland. His co-accused, T.C. Wright, was subsequently remanded in custody. The Lucy police report that about midday, Mr. Barnes was a passenger in a Nissan 80 wagon motorcar when armed men pounced upon them. It is alleged that Mr. McDonald was among the group of men who fired on the vehicle, killing Mr. Barnes and wounding another man. PNP hoping investigation into former MP wife's death will bring clarity and closure. The People's National Party says it supported the ongoing investigation by law enforcement agencies into the death of Melissa Silvero, the wife of former PNP Member of Parliament Julian Silvero. It was previously reported that Silvero died in her sleep on November 10. In a release on Monday, the PNP said it is imperative to allow the authorities to conduct a thorough and impartial investigation into the matter. On Saturday, police confirmed that 6 weeks after Melissa passed in her sleep, her death is now being investigated as a possible murder. After the post-mortem, it was discovered that she was shot at least 3 times. Deputy Commissioner of Police in charge of crime and security, Fitz Bailey, told the news on Saturday afternoon. It was also reported that the deceased husband retained the services of a King's Counsel and that he was interviewed by scene-of-crime investigators. We firmly believe in the rule of law and supported the ongoing investigation by law enforcement agencies to ascertain the truth behind Melissa's untimely death, the release read. The opposition party reaffirmed its commitment to justice and trust in the legal process to provide clarity and closure in this tragic situation. Stop order placed on house being built next to cemetery. Owner rubbishes claim structure on burial ground. The Westmoreland Municipal Corporation has served the People's National Party councillor candidate Warren Littleton of Greenhill Division with a stop order on a house that is being built adjacent to a cemetery. However, Littleton's son Akeem told the news that he is the owner of the structure being erected on the property in Church Lincoln, Greenhill, and is fuming that the stop notice served on December 15 will result in losses for him. I don't know what is the next procedure. For a little youth who are working on a bill from so long, and then them come give a stop order when you put on the house stop and borrow loan, the 27-year-old bartender bemoaned. He also rubbished the talk that the house is being constructed inside the cemetery. I am not in the cemetery. I saw my barn and grow. They need to get their surveyor, get their diagrams, and from there they can say if the house is on the land because I don't know about that, Akeem Littleton argued. On Monday, a resident of a nearby community told the news that there were 3 wooden houses in the cemetery, but that they were taken down after residents received a notice to remove. Me no feel good about it. Nobody no fi try occupy the cemetery. The cemetery is for the poorer class of people. Houses were here before, and the government give them notice and they move, the resident said. The news sought a comment from Westmoreland's Chief Public Health Inspector, Steve Morris, on the risk of living inside a cemetery. If somebody goes into a cemetery and builds a permanent structure, it is a cause for concern, he said. It's a permanent structure being put in a public space, and that should be a no-no, Morris has said, adding that the parish is short on burial space. Greenhill is one of those big communities with a large population, and so space in a cemetery is really short. At the health department, we will not support living among the dead, he said. Attempts to get a comment from Mayor Bertilmore on the matter were unsuccessful, as it was said that he had to get a comment from the officer who served the notice.